Before I went to do the community service, I extremely underestimated how difficult it was for some people to manage through their day to day lives. It was hard to imagine or picture exactly how difficult it was for them. The poor living conditions of the children at the Rohingya English Academy and the lack of basic resources and cleanliness of the quarters really struck me that even as a middle class individual, I'm privileged with a lot of amenities that I take for granted in my day to day life. Another feeling that I experienced was curiosity because I have never been actively involved in community service before, so I was excited to see the ways in which I could contribute to the society. It also made me more motivated to make more plans like this to help local communities in the future.
My impression of the first place we went to, which is Rohingya English Academy, was bad. First of all, we struggled to find the place because it was in the middle of nowhere and there were no signboards as well. And the place was in bad condition and was not maintained properly. When we entered the place, there were no lights, and we climbed up a narrow staircase. And there was a corridor where our rooms were located, and the academy was one of them. And it didn't look like an academy. It was painted pink, and there were barely any lights or equipment. And when we were painting, there were cockroaches and other bugs coming in, and we had to kill them, so it wasn't in good condition. And that would be the change that I would like to make because there were a lot of children as well, and there was a baby and a mother. And when we went to wash the paint brushes, we saw that the baby's milk bottles were placed in unhygienic places as well. And the good impressions would definitely be the children's reactions to our contribution. Once we finished painting their academy, the place looked brighter and more like a school because we put their logo and paintings on the walls and we painted it white. The kids were really happy and it made me happy as well.
So one of the episode that was interesting was that we went all the way down from Janda Baik to Melawati just to buy paint. Like we were already like halfway painting, but then the organization said like they ran out of green paint, so we were like, okay, let's get them. So there was no shop nearby at all. So we had to go down all the way to Melawati and go back all the way up to Janda Baik, which took us like around 2 hours. So it really showed like how hard it is for them to get resources. And another episode would be like we got lost for both times that we go for mural painting. So like the first one, which was the Rohingya English Academy, which was near a market, and it was so hard to find because it was in a shop lot area and there was no signage. Even Waze couldn't find the exact spot for it. And for the second one, the place is in the mountains of Janda Baik near a cliff, and it was in a really narrow lane. So it took us like 3 rounds around the area to find the exact spot to the place. So it was like really a challenge for us as well, actually. But it showed that these places were not on ways because they are those that really need help compared to the other organizations that are already renowned or big.
The positive value that I learned in this community service is social responsibility because the government can't really cover all the refugee center and rural area. As what my teammate mentioned before, they do not have the proper classroom to study and bad condition for their living place. They really need NGO and volunteer to give help to them to improve their study and living environment. What can we do is just help them to repaint their rooms, surround classroom or donate some resources to them is fine. The personal gain from this community service is patiently because we are lack of experience to painting. The new knowledge or skill that I learned in this painting skill is creativity from them. We also can see the passion from them to study even they do not have a good environment for them.
Millennials like us view community service or CSI as taking up social responsibility to improve our surrounding society. So as we did our community work over the past few weeks, we felt as if we were making a small yet positive impact for the small communities around us. Looking back on how the conditions were on the different places and how it looked after we had finished our mural paintings, it felt very rewarding once we finished because the venues that we had painted looked more aesthetically pleasing. And also, we realized that when young people like us volunteer for community service, we are more attracted to the volunteer work that are inclined for fun. So, for example, volunteering at a dog shelter or spending the day or going to the beach for a beach cleaning. So when we visited the Rohingya English Academy, all of us were very culture shocked because of the really poor conditions that the children lived in. Moreover, this actually allowed all of us to reflect on how fortunate and lucky we are. So after doing this community work, our group realizes that we should volunteer for CSI or community work in areas that actually really need help, such as like the Rohingya English Academy.
Our first meeting with Hassan was unexpected because we didn't expect Hassan to be as young as us, who just started his studies in educational studies in Nottingham. So we were all very impressed with how determined he is in helping the less privileged and how happy he is to do it. Other than that, during the mural paintings that we did in Klang and Janda Baik, we were welcomed with smiles by not only the volunteers but also by the organizing team. They were very friendly and fun to work with. We had a lot of interactions, not only like during the mural painting, but also during our breaks. They would ask, "What do we study? Where are we from?" Um, yeah, they're very open like that. In future plans for community service, I hope that all of us find our calling at the end in doing community service and giving back to the community, and hope that one day we find an NGO that we would like to work with constantly. But um, in with Hassan, we did offer our help and offer our services to them, and hopefully we get to work in future projects with them too, um, not only for this module. In terms of negative feelings, most of the time, me and my team felt sad and empathized the fact that these refugees and orphanages live in a very poor condition in a very rural area that has very little basic facilities. So it makes us think and appreciate our life even more. True